Well, can we agree that legal immigration is good and illegal immigration is bad?
I would think so. The country is founded on immigration, people coming here from other countries. Legal immigration is good, yes.
Does anybody disagree with that statement? Does anybody want to defend the Biden administration's 24 million people backlog in legal immigration? But yet millions have come illegally across the border? Does anybody want to defend that?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Capital Insights. Today we're diving into a fascinating congressional hearing that just blew the lid off our immigration system. Trust me, you won't believe some of these revelations. Stick around because I'm breaking down exactly what went down in this heated exchange between Senator Kennedy and immigration experts. Before we jump in, if you're interested in politics and real talk about important issues, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. You won't want to miss our weekly breakdowns of crucial political moments like this one. So picture this, a congressional hearing room, 3 expert witnesses, and Senator Kennedy ready to ask the tough questions. We've got Mr. Carr, Mr. Costa, and Mr. Sakura in the hot seat, about to face some serious grilling about our immigration system. Now here's where it gets interesting. When asked to grade the current administration's handling of immigration, the responses were, well, let's just say they weren't hanging these grades on the fridge. Mr. Costa tried to play it safe with a C grade, citing some kept Trump policies. But Mr. Sakura, he went straight for a D-. Ouch! The real fireworks started when the topic of open borders came up. You could feel the tension in the room as witnesses clashed over whether current policies essentially amount to an open border situation. But here's the kicker. While they were debating this, there's a massive 24 million person backlog in legal immigration processing. Let that sink in. Now check this out. We've got qualified professionals, doctors from Nigeria, engineers from Germany, and experienced farm workers, all waiting years to enter legally. Meanwhile, well, you know what's happening at the southern border. The contrast couldn't be more stark. Here's where things get really interesting. There's this ongoing debate about funding. Some say we need more resources, but get this, we're actually working with the largest federal budget in U.S. history when adjusted for inflation. So where's the disconnect?
Mr. Costa, do you believe that illegal immigration is illegal?
Under the statutes, yes.
Okay. Mr. Sakura, am I saying your name right? Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Costa, what grade, A, B, C, D, F, would you give President Biden's administration on combating illegal immigration?
I don't know what grade I would put. I think they've made some useful improvements, but you know, I think that the border there's so much money going to the border that I think the border is mostly secure. People are mostly turning themselves in. They're not really crossing the border without authorization.
You can't give a grade? You're an expert on immigration, and you can't give a grade?
Oh, I guess if I had to, I'd probably be about a C, right in the middle somewhere.
A C or a D?
A C, because they kept some Trump policies in place. They've made some improvements.
Right.
They're sort of in between.
Okay, how about you, Mr. Sakura?
Are we grading on a curve, Senator?
No, sir.
I would be generous and say a D-.
Okay. All right. Can we agree that either President Biden's administration believes in open borders, or the person that he has put in charge of making immigration policy is not qualified to manage a food truck?
I would fully reject the notion that the Biden administration believes in open borders.
Okay, how about you, Mr. Secure?
At the risk of being too lawyerly, I might be interested in the definition of open borders. I think it's certainly fair to say there is a lack of significant enforcement at the border. And in fact, my clients who
let me try to put a finer point on it. Right now, we have conscientious farm workers who live in other countries, some of whom have worked here before. We have Nigerian doctors. We have German engineers who are waiting years patiently in line, trying to follow the rules of legal immigration to come into our country. But yet, the Biden administration will welcome anybody who can either secretly or less than secretly come into the United States from the southern border. Is that not correct?
I don't believe so. I believe that the people showing up at the border are mostly seeking humanitarian protections because there's a dire need in this hemisphere.
How about you, Mr. Secure? Do you think that my description is correct?
I do, Senator, and that seems to be obvious from watching the evening news.
Well, the agencies responsible for the legal immigration system, Mr. Costa, are failing to process applications promptly, aren't they?
I would say it depends. For low-wage work visas, they are mostly processing them quite quickly.
Well, we've got a backlog of 24 million applications. What do you mean it depends?
It depends on which visa you're talking about. I would say for H-2B, for instance, the USCIS prides themselves on how quickly they process those visas. When it comes to other things like work permits, they've been slow, and I think the problem is that Congress has not appropriated funds for them. They have this
It's
fee-based
always
structure.
money. We now have a larger federal budget adjusted for inflation than we've ever had in the history of the United States of America.
But with all due respect,
Always the money. Mr. Secure, what kind of job do you think that the Biden administration has done with legal immigration with the 24 million person backlog?
I think any fair estimation is that it's poor.
Well, can we agree that legal immigration is good and illegal immigration is bad?
I would think so. The country is founded on immigration, people coming here from other countries. Legal immigration is good, yes.
Does anybody disagree with that statement? Does anybody want to defend the Biden administration's 24 million people backlog in legal immigration? But yet millions have come illegally across the border? Does anybody want to defend that?
That's the breakdown of this explosive hearing, folks. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to Capital Insights.